Hey guys, John here, and I'm in Sweden on business. I've had a few meetings today, and I'm heading home tonight. But I couldn't go home without finding some tools, so I've stopped by Hornbach, but it closes in an hour, and then I've got to get to my flight. You're not going to want to miss this one. Let's see what's coming up. I get to grips with a 12-inch zombie knife and see if it can cut shadow foam. I try Swedish sausage and mash, and we race to get everything before the shop shuts. So let's get into it. Toolboxes, this is what I like to see, and some ones that I recognise. Got the organisers, Stanley organisers, also come in DeWalt. I did get one of these. We don't have that in the UK, but it's like a medium box that sits on the front of these more common, deeper boxes. Not seen that before. This the old Stanley Pro Stack insert. That's not too good. Pick and pluck square foam. I think we'll have to get that out for our a future foam comparison video. This is always an interesting one. I'm glad to see this here. I've been in a Hornbach before, and one thing I didn't get was a Hornbach Zollstock, so I am on the lookout for that. But I did pick up one of the industrial stacks. Does anyone recognise this? This is like the exact same as the Bauer box or the Magnusson box, but rebranded industrial, which is like Hornbach's own brand. I already have this full triple stack back at the workshop, so I don't have to buy another one. I think I've also got this too. This is another box that's like an industrial branded one. They've also got the organiser, a bit dusty, and sat there for a while, and they've got the crate, but they're all the same as the Magnusson, a Bauer, JCB stack. The JCB, the new version, is a Gen 2, like the rigid Gen 2, but that's like the Gen 1, so don't need one. That's actually a Zollstock I've already got, the Maurerlob. I think last time I was in Hornbach in Germany, I picked that one up. This shows you how popular Zollstocks are. Look, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different ones. I'm still looking for a Hornbach one. That's the one I want. I think that I'm hoping they've got a Hornbach branded one. Or maybe the dual colour would be a good one for this time. Well, I definitely don't think I got a wooden one last time. Maybe a wooden one is the shout. These are some heavy duty scrapers from OLFA. We looked at OLFA knives. I think it was this one I got from Obermat in Spain. Japanese made tools. But a lot of their craft knives and stuff that I'm looking at here, they look interesting, but on closer inspection they are just standard crafts knives. This is pretty cool though. This is like a scraper that's got like a through tang, so you can't, it's not just for wallpaper scraping, it's literally for like tile adhesive and really tricky stuff, and you can give it a good whack and try and get things up. 400. It's a bit much though, I think. Oh, 20, 30 quid maybe. It's not too bad. I'm looking at these though, 100mm flexible blades, scraper blades, but look how flexible they are. You ever seen anything like that? They stand out as something really interesting, but I'm trying to work out which holder they go in. BSF, it takes BSF, which is that one, yeah, so it would take that. Does that take BSF? Yeah, it does, it takes the flexible blades. So that one is 300. How much? Oh, and there's a super long one as well. Just if you didn't know, I'm in Sweden, so they use Swedish Krona here, and it is currently 13.17 Swedish Krona to a pound. So the blades here, the refill pack of blades, is 64 Krona, which is 5 quid. That's pretty good. That surprised me, 5 quid. And then the handle, 305, we'll go for the smaller handle, 23 quid. That's made in Japan and sent all the way over to Sweden. I thought that'd have been more, to be honest. I especially like the flexible blades. Oh, and here we go, got something else here. Made in Japan, 70% less plastic, 129, so literally that's about 9 quid. And it's like a sustainable knife. It's made out of plants, I imagine. It's not plastic. Woody, it's the Woody cutter. Maintains grip, even with greasy hands. Biomass material. Blade is extremely sharp, yeah, good. That's all it says. That's interesting, isn't it? It's got like a bit of, maybe that's the colourway too, with a little bit of a wood. It says wood pellets, thinned wood. I think we get one of those to look at as well. Happy days, I think. Glad to stop by the OLFA stand. Now before we dive into the next tool, a quick word from our sponsor, Plaud AI, who sent me something that isn't just amazingly clever, it's actually going to be really useful. Let's have a look at it. This is the Plaud Notepin, and yeah, it looks tiny, but don't let this size fool you. It's what they're calling the world's most wearable AI note taker. I do get offered a lot of productivity gadgets, but this one actually made its way into my everyday gear. So this tiny little device has a few ways of attaching to you. So you just clip it on like this. It uses a magnetic back or this soft silicone wristband or even a lanyard necklace. Super flexible depending on what you're doing that day. I like how subtle it is. I've got the cosmetic grey version here, which even if it's high up on your shirt, it kind of doesn't stand out very much. much, but they've also got a lunar silver and a sunset purple if you do like a bit more flair. So why use an AI voice note taker when you've got a mobile, I hear you ask? You do have a voice memo app in your phone, most phones do, but you do have to go through different apps and menus, and it's not very simple. This is one click to record in HD audio. You've also got AI audio enhancement, so you get really, really high quality audio recording, and it's very quick to stop and start it. And it only weighs the same as a AA battery, so very small, very light, and I think that makes it much better than your mobile. And with AI audio enhancement, you get HD audio. Here's a before, and we take a look at probably one of the worst shadow foam alternatives I've ever seen. And here's an after. And we take a look at probably one of the worst shadow foam alternatives I've ever seen. But where this thing really shines, I think, is not just recording audio, but what it does with that recording afterwards. It automatically transcribes the whole thing into 112 plus languages. It organizes it into neat paragraphs and even labels different speakers, so no more guessing who said what. And here's the kicker, it uses AI to summarize key points and even generates action items and mind maps. You can access all of this instantly on the Plaud app or via a browser. Every month you get 300 minutes transcribing time for free. If you want more time, you can upgrade to their Pro or Unlimited version as well. Battery wise, this thing lasts for an incredible 20 hours or 40 days on standby, which is massively impressive. So unlike your phone, this thing is not going to randomly die on you. You can have it with you for a few days, not even worrying about charging it, and then it's there ready to use when you need it. And being pocket size, you can store this in your same tech pouch with all the other bits and bobs and always have it with you. It just kind of makes sense to have this thing with you. So who's this for? Creators capturing ideas on the go, students recording lectures to make sure they've not missed anything, journalists and interviewers, anyone tired of typing meeting notes by hand. Basically, if you've ever said, I'll remember that, this is for you, because you're guaranteed you won't remember it. This will remember it for you. Now, if you're interested, Plaud AI are looking after us. They're looking after you guys. They've given us a 20% off discount code. All you've got to do is click the link in the description and use the code JOHNNA20. As simple as that for 20% off. So a big thanks to Plaud AI for sponsoring this video. But with that being said, let's get back to Hornbach. Nice to see Wiha tools. This is again something you don't really see in some of our stores. Really nice quality branded tools. Like they've got like this little thing you pull back and then kind of a bit janky actually, but something interesting about them. Not seen that model before. Most of these I think I've seen. Supplier company catalogues are like that. Knipex and Wiha. So many different models and derivatives and slightly different sizes of the same thing. Yeah, that's something a bit quirky there. What's that? That's that brand, Edma. Yeah, French made. So when I was in Leroy Merlin, I think it was, you had a hot ball that it was like from melting down the back of styrofoam boards, and it was a genius tool. And this thing, I can see from the picture, if you've ever done any dry lining or plasterboarding as you call it in the UK, you'll know about putting beads on. And in the UK, you just use pins or like a black screw, like a plasterboard screw. You hit that with a hammer and it bends. It kind of like snaps a piece of the trim and bends it in to hold it on the wall so you don't have to use any screws. That's pretty quirky, isn't it? 825 Swedish Krona, which sounds a fortune. I think that works out about 55, 60 quid. Made in France, in Sweden. I think that is a pretty cool pickup. There's 3 of them here. Which one do you think I should go for? Oh look, we got some old, got some old packaging. The Edma Corner Fix. I wonder how long that's been here. That's been absolutely splattered with something. And then it's like the lesser of two evils. That one there looks less damaged as a tool. I think that's the one we go for. That is a very quirky tool. Now there's something I've not seen before. I've got 50 or 60 Zollstocks now, and that is the first attachment that I've seen. That looks cool. So you put that, and it's called a Thumby, because usually you can just put your thumb there and then just go sliding down to mark something. Whereas that will do it for you. If you want to mark like cut a strip with a handsaw down the side of a bit of wood, you put a Thumby on it. That's why we look for quirky tools, because if you look, you do find every store in every country has always got something different. A Thumby. That looks well old, that packaging, doesn't it? I wonder how long these have been sat here. Doesn't say much about it. Look, on the back there's no writing, just a barcode. And on the front there's no writing, there's a barcode. 35 Swedish Krona is about £2.50, something like that for a Thumby. Do we think we need 5 of those? 1, 2. I think just to kind of clear some space on this rail here, because it's obviously been sat here for a while. We'll get 6, and then when we find a Zollstock to go with it that we like, Hopefully that's a Hornbach one, because I'm on the hunt. If I don't find a Hornbach one, I'll come back for some of these. That's a tool that I think everybody needs. That's for if you're doing some like plasterboarding and you need to cut in a dry lining box, but then you're hungry and you need like a grated cheese sandwich. You can quickly flip gears, do a quick sandwich, and then straight back to cutting the plasterboard, which I think is genius. Or you could also use it for like filing down, making the dry lining box a bit bigger, but you know, it's horses for courses. You know, make of it what you will. I think that's a quirky tool. I've not seen that in the DeWalt lineup over in the UK. I've not seen 3 different pry bars on our DeWalt stands either, but I think that's the standout on this board. I think we'll get that. That is a heavy chunk of PVC pipe cutter. 120 Swedish Krona. Puts it at 9 quid. 9 quid. That's just unbelievable, isn't it? Because it feels really solid. That's a proper chunky, automatic open, ratcheted. Pretty decent. I think we get that as well. I've already got one of these Morakniv knives. What I don't have is a Wolfrcraft sword. Now that looks like something that would cut foam. You've got it cut in mineral wool, cut in polystyrene. I wonder if that'd be any competition to the Hultafors mineral saw. 129, that means it's a tenner. That looks like a lot of tool for 10 quid, doesn't it? That looks mental. Gotta get that. That one there is less than a tenner. That one there's about 6 quid. 6 quid for that Swedish steel knife. I think we've got to get one of those as well. I'm intrigued by what this is. Tiny little blade with a knife on the back of it too. You can see it's a dual knife. Kind of got a bit of a picture on here. I can't tell if it's a dowel or if it's a cable. But let me know in the comments what you think that's for. Pretty cool little knife. I think I'm going to go for the blue one, but let me know. You see a lot more Einhell tools over in Europe, and we've got a good section of them. 2 big stands over here, including an Einhell pressure washer. I looked at Temu one of these and it wasn't too bad, so I bet this would be a much better. Standard hose connector, put a battery on it, and you're off to the races. I think that is pretty cool. Getting out the flipping jet washer when you want to just blast off the car is a bit of a pain, so that's awesome. They've also got a glue gun and they've got a heat gun. Got some quirky stuff. All your standard stuff, like you get bored of looking at all that because it's all pretty standard, but they've got kind of polisher as well. Even a tile cutter that runs off a battery. You just don't see all the Einhell stuff, so I didn't know they had that broad of a range, to be fair, but there you go. Don't want any of that in my suitcase, but maybe that's the next time. I needed some of this the other day. I had to go online and buy it. Aluminium kind of check plate corners, check plate edgings. Just got it here, loads of, not just one type. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 profiles and some sheet. Flipping awesome. That's quite nice. That's a Swedish brand. I think I've got the bigger model. It's quirky, but I've already got one. It's in my big 100k wall. But I forgot that they were made in Sweden. Made in Sweden, Nobex. Another tool from Nobex would be cool. A little bit holder. The prices are really good. That's about 6 quid. Everything seems like really good value, to be honest. I think it's maybe because the conversion's really strong, but honestly, some of these prices, I look at them, I've got to double check them. It's hard to work it out, and then when you do, you're thinking that's a bargain. The Tracer stuff, I've not bought any of the Tracer bits. This is a nice little mitre kit, which I've never looked at, ProScribe. So that's 37 quid. That's pretty good, that is, for the ProScribe. I think that's a nice little pickup. I like the Tracer stuff. That one looks like it's not been opened. I've not really looked at it. But they've got a few bits on it. They've got the little contour gauge, and that's a tenner. Designed and innovated in the UK. And then they've got these for a £5, the Tracer pens. So I think that is definitely something I can pick up for the giveaway, because I'll get one in my kit, and I'll get another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Little Tracer, British brand, out here in Sweden. What else have we got on here? 330, so that's like 25 quid. An adjustable square. I've seen this online, but it's funny I've had to come all the way to Sweden to actually see one in person. So it's it's kind of a speed square, but also can do angles, and it's used for roofing, I think, mainly. Something I want, not something I need, but pretty cool. I like that. I think we'll leave that. I don't do many roofs, but I think the scribe kit's pretty cool. A silicone finisher or a toothbrush. That's caught my eye. That's the only Eclipse item I've seen in here so far. If you don't know, Eclipse, Sheffield brand, very British. Not made in Sheffield anymore, but they used to be for a long time. And that is 130 Swedish Krona, which is a tenner for an Eclipse piece of steel. I don't think you get that for a tenner in the UK. So how they're getting that all the way to Sweden and then selling it for a tenner is mental. But it says on it, Neil Tools Limited. So it's definitely the same Eclipse. The English one's got an English number on it, and it's over here hanging on a little strip with no other Eclipse stuff near it. Interesting. Don't need one though. This is a tool for like cleaning up the overhang when you're sticking trim on the side of a piece of melamine. Don't really need one of those, but it's pretty cool, pretty interesting. It's Wolfrcraft have got loads of little jigs for like laminate flooring and getting like bits of trim work really nice and finished. The original hole-in-one, but there's no English on it. But doesn't that just look interesting? Why is it original hole-in-one registered? That's in English. It's got my attention. Halt Aging for Elder Saw, and I can't fully tell what's going on. I think it's for like, they use these kind of junction boxes in Europe, and I think it's something to do with maybe locking off a junction box or capping a junction box. It's expensive, so it's not a single use thing. 500 krona. Don't need one, but it could be cool. Let me know. Oh, it's just a load of lock off things. Load of caps. Electrical caps. Always worth a look at the crates by the till. This stuff's pretty cheap, 69 euros, like a fiver for the old classic toilet brush that goes in a drill. I've got enough of those now. But a fiver for a little aluminium torch. I looked everywhere for a Hornbach folding ruler, and I think this is the closest I'm gonna get. And maybe it just has to fold like that. And that's me Hornbach folding Zollstock. Best I'm gonna do. Now there is something I've never seen before. I'm not sure what they are. I can tell the clamps, but they don't have any sort of pads on them. So a bit of an unusual clamp, really nice Makita colour and brand. And it was just sat here on this like restocking shelf or something. I don't know what exactly it is, but there's no prices. There's a couple of Bessie clamps, and then that. What a cool little thing. No price on it either. And I don't think I need them, although they are tempting, and there's no price. But have you seen that before? I might search that up afterwards, make sure I've not missed something cool. But I definitely, in terms of what they clamp, I think that must attach to a fence for maybe a plunge saw. That'd be my only guess. But a bit of an unusual one. Have you got these? I think I might leave them there with no price on. And I don't have a rail for a plunge saw, so don't think I need them, but definitely quirky. So we asked, and they had one Hornbach behind the till. And they've gone to look to see if they've got another 5, so we might be in luck, but maybe not. Definitely got one though, and last time I was in a Hornbach I did ask and they didn't have any, so I think I've got quite lucky there. I've looked around the whole store and can't find any, and it tells you something when the first one they can find is behind the till, so let's see, fingers crossed there's a few more. That's amazing. Right,
There you go.
Thank you. Can I put them through over here, yeah?
I don't know if they have a barcode.
No, I can't see a barcode.
No, because this is more like merch, so you can take them.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Amazing, thank you. Do you want a card so you can see where the video goes? You search that channel on YouTube and you'll find the videos.
Okay,
and then you'll see it probably 4 weeks, 5 weeks or something. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Cheers, you too. Batella maybe? Quarter Batella? I'm just guessing. Stop the clock, that's an hour, it's closing. Got some really cool bits, a big bag of stuff and some interesting tools that I've not seen before, which is always what I'm on the lookout for. Something totally new, and a giveaway, and a Hornbach Zollstock. And just as I walk out the door, they've got a Frankfurter thing, and look at this. If that's not bangers and mash, I don't know what is. They're selling bangers and mash in Sweden, and I think that's what I'm having for me tea before I get on the flight. Hello. Newbie, I don't really know. I'll have one of the, like, mash. Yeah. So do you not have a name for it when it's sausage and mash? Sausage. Just sausage and mash? Bangers and mash is what you need. It's good mash and it's good onions. I'm all in now, so I've got it, it's all over the place. Thank you. The mustard is good. Yeah, it's good. Nice seasoning. I don't know what it is, but it tastes good. Thank you very much. Right, I'm gonna eat this and best get to the airport. Right, fresh back from Sweden, and that was a bit of a whirlwind. Just made the plane, which was the main thing, and I had a bit of sausage and mash as well, so I didn't go with an empty stomach on the flight, so that was pretty good. And it's not bad, sausage and mash in Sweden. I was quite happy with that, and I was quite happy with the tools and the tool prices. I'd say Sweden is probably one of the best value places to go shopping for tools. Everything was pretty good. I've got a full top 10 interesting, cool, quirky tool pickups from Hornbach. I also picked up a Shadow Foam alternative or competitor. This is a Stanley FatMax Pro Stack cubed insert. I'm always on the lookout for anything that is similar to Shadow Foam. So this thing was 250 Swedish Krona, which comes out at about 19-20 quid for one insert. And this thing it's about 50 mil, and you've got like a base, quite a thick layer, quite similar in density to Shadow Foam, but it's these cubes, which I flipping hate. I mean, trying to do a nice tool layout with cubes, whoa, is not fun at all. I mean, you've got these layers, but there's no way you can actually utilize those layers because they don't split. So this insert is for the Stanley Pro Stack, which if you didn't know is the exact same as the DeWalt T-Stack and the Craftsman Versa Stack. They're all owned by the Black & Decker group, and this toolbox design here is the exact same but with a DeWalt T-Stack badge or a Versa Stack, and they all integrate together. This is the Pro Stack insert, and as you guys already know, we have Shadow Foam inserts, a twin pack of our inserts, which are much easier to use. You can organise your tools in any way you want. Comes in at £27.50, so it's about £13 an insert. So cheaper, a good deal cheaper than the T-Stack insert, and much better. What we're gonna do though, as I'm going through, I'll do a layout on the Shadow Foam, but if you'd like to see me do a full Shadow Foam versus all the other similar products, I mean, this is no competition really, but it's similar. So if you'd like to see me do a full matchup, let me know in the comments, I'd love to know. But with that being said, it's time to get into all of my pickups from Hornbach. As I say, it's a top 10, so let's kick it off with number 10. But before that, I wanted to bring you the exciting news that we are now the exclusive distributor for Rapid Edge tools on Top Notch Tools, our website for quirky tools you can't already get in the UK. So we've already had Magnum from Finland, they are the compact tape measures, but now we've added the full range of Rapid Edge tools knives, and they have got some really quirky, unusual stuff. And it was from your feedback and all you guys getting in touch saying, where can we buy these, that we've brought these to the UK. Some of the highlights, we've got their extender blade. So this is a folding utility knife, but with a double length utility blade for cutting through deeper materials, maybe layers of stuff. That is a really cool thing. They've got a squared off carpet cutter, which is pretty unusual in the UK. You see this a lot more in the States, but it's a really sharp blade on both sides and you can cut through carpet. You've got different angles. Their auto fill-in razor scraper is pretty cool too. It's got 3 blades, which auto replace. Once you take a blunt one out, you can replace it with another one instantly. You've also got blades in the handle. So that's a pretty cool highlight for me. I really like the razor scraper. Their quick change blade is also quite nice. That's got blades in the handles. And the thing that Rapid Edge are really known for is their serrated utility blades, which you just don't see in the UK. I've not seen anyone else with serrated blades. Why serrated blades? Where they last 5 times longer than a typical blade, because they have multiple cutting edges. You can also cut through some much heavier duty material with a serrated blade. So anything fibrous you can get through. You've got the potential for a saw action, and they last 5 times longer, which is a real winner on me. So if you want any of the Rapid Edge tools, we've got the full lineup over on topnotchtools.co.uk. We'll put a link in the description. All of those items are shipped by us directly to UK, and we do have worldwide shipping available as well. And as a little bit of a bonus, Rapid Edge sent me a bucket of their fluorescent serrated blades, which are pretty nice little addition to any toolkit these. I've got 20, so the first 20 orders on Top Notch Tools for any of the Rapid Edge tools, we'll chuck in one of these as well. So that is one of many cool tools we're going to be bringing to topnotchtools.co.uk. So you can be one of the first customers if you go and grab yourself something. So with that being said, let's get back to the show. To kick things off, number 10 is a bargain. New brand on me, Tolsen, and it is a heavy-duty pipe cutter that was 120 or 119 Swedish Krona, which puts it in at about 9 quid. And I thought 9 quid for a really heavy-duty aluminium pipe cutter that goes up to 42mm pipe, pretty good going. I wasn't sure if it was ratcheting. 9 quid for a ratcheting pipe cutter that goes up to 42mm pipe is pretty good going, I think. Let's give it a quick test. Right, so I've got a bit of pipe here. Let's give it a quick test. That is a lovely quality thing. I quite like it's got a little trigger lock here to make it a bit smaller. It also is really easy to release the blade. You just push the handle back and it pops out to reset you to go again. Nice little thing for £9. That feels like a great little addition to a toolkit, being the fact it's £9 flipping quid. And it's aluminium, nice and solid, stainless steel blade, hardened blade it says. £9, can't be bad. What a great start for Swedish tools. Right, that's number 10. Let me show you number 9. Number 9 on the list is a classic find for me. I'm always on the lookout for a new Zollstock. I managed to get a new brand, Maurerlob. This is a pretty cool looking Zollstock, to be fair. It's a nice thin one, so that's usually a sign of good quality birch, which is pretty cool. It doesn't say who it's made. It looks kind of like the Hultforce one, but it doesn't say that on it. So that was the first pickup, and then I also managed to snag a Hornbach Zollstock. I had seen a couple of the staff with them, but I couldn't find them on the shelf, so I had to ask one of the team. She went off, had a route round, and pulled out not just one for me, but an additional 5, which they never charged us for. I was well buzzed with that. I thought I was going to have to pay, but she said, no, you can have them, you're welcome to them. So that is the first element of our giveaway, a Hornbach, and an exclusive Hornbach. You can't even buy these, an exclusive Hornbach Zollstock, which is a pretty strong start, and it doesn't stop there with a giveaway. And as always, you know what to do. Drop a comment down below this video, get involved in the conversation about tools, about any of your recommendations where I can go tool shopping and find some cool stuff. And as long as you've subscribed to the channel, all those comments are entered, and we do the prize draw over on the Shadow Foam channel. So you can click up here, you can go and see all the other giveaway prize draws that we've done. You can see all of the previous winners and make sure you get involved. And I believe that is 72 and 73 in the collection. So we are flipping, we're cooking on gas now. 73 Zollstocks. It's pretty mental to think we're at 73. I'm not sure what we're going to do when we get to 100 Zollstocks, but obviously they're going in Shadow Foam. But maybe there's something else we could do, something special. Let me know down below. Drop a comment. What do you think we should do when we get to 100 Zollstocks? And your comment will be entered into the giveaway. So that is my number 9 pick. Let me show you number 8. Number 8 is something pretty cool, and it's an attachment for a Zollstock. This is definitely something you wouldn't see in the UK because you don't really see Zollstocks, to be honest. They're very, very popular. If you didn't know what a Zollstock is, it's a 2-meter folding ruler. It's a great little tool, really handy, but you just don't see them as much in the UK. You see traditional tape measures. It doesn't need much description, this product. In fact, there's no words on the whole packet. It's just got a picture of exactly what it is, and it's a little plastic part that attaches to the end of a Zollstock that allows you to just run it along the side of a board and then put a mark line. So essentially you can put this up to the measurement you want, so 22 centimeters, sit it up alongside of the board, hold it tight with your thumb, put your pencil on the end, run it down a board and just get a really nice, easy, quick line and a quick measurement to work off of. And this thing was only a few quid. It wasn't very expensive at all. A great little accessory. Definitely need one of these. Now I've got 73 Zollstocks, and I thought it was so good, I actually did buy another 5. So in this giveaway, you'll get a Thumby attachment for your Zollstock and a Hornbach Zollstock, which I think already is a pretty nifty little giveaway. That pretty quirky setup. So that is my number 8 pick. Pretty cool to have my first Zollstock accessory. Now I've got 73 Zollstocks, but there you go. So that's number 8. Let me show you number 7. Number 7 is not so much a quirky tool, but a quirky material. This thing is an OLFA snap-off knife. So quite traditional, 18mm snap-off knife. OLFA's quite cool. OLFA's a Japanese brand, so that makes it pretty interesting. I always like to see tools from around the world. So Japanese knife. But what makes this special is it says it's up to 70% less plastic. And it says on the side, this thing is made out of biomass material, 70% wood pellet. It also says it maintains grip even with greasy or sweaty hands. So it's a biomass material with this kind of wood effect, which actually makes it a better grip in the hand. And I can say it feels like a nice weight, feels comfortable in the hand, quite an ergonomic handle. And it's got quite an interesting patina to it. It's not quite wood effect, but you can see what they've tried to do. They've gone for a brown wood colour, and it's got kind of like more of a concrete texture to it, I'd say. But it's quite a nice feeling knife, feels quite nice in the hand. It's got made in Japan on it as well, OLFA. Pretty cool little pickup. Tools made out of wood pellets. If you're interested in seeing renewable tools, this isn't the first renewable quirky tool I've ever seen. I was actually looking at some Wacom electrical tools made out of vegetable oil. And if you want to go and see the video where I check out renewable wooden tools and some quirky vegetable oil made tools, we'll put a link up here to that one. And if I'd have found this would have definitely been in the mixer. But it was a pretty cool pickup and something I've definitely not seen before. So quite cool to find that in Sweden. Right, that is number 7. Let me show you number 6. Number 6 is an item from Wolfrcraft, and this is a pretty cool brand that I see a lot in Europe, not so much in the UK, and they have quite an extensive range of kind of little gadgets to help with flooring and carpentry and joinery. This, however, is their zombie apocalypse knife for kind of slicing and dicing. I don't think it's actually that, it's for cutting down mineral wool. But I always love seeing these mineral wool saws because they're actually Quite a big tool for not a lot of money. They're always quite cheap. It's stapled packaging, which is never the most fun, but let's pop this open. So on the packet showing it's cut in mineral wool polystyrene, but the big question is, can it cut shadow foam? So let's grab some. Let's give it a go. Not too bad that side. I've just used like the big serrations. Let's try the smaller teeth. Well, that's cutting a little bit better. So the answer is it can cut, but can it cut square? Let me just go to an edge. Right, so I want to convert a sheet down into a smaller size, put the ruler on it. Can we cut along it neatly? For me, I mean, as soon as you start sawing, you get a really jaggedy edge. Let me see if I can try and do a neat edge with this saw side. Better, it can cut, but a knife does a lot better. A knife is going to beat that all day long. So there you go. Interesting to give it a try though. That is number 6, the Wolfrcraft bread knife. Let me show you number 5. Number 5 on the list is a Swedish brand, Swedish tool and Swedish made Morakniv Knife. Now I think I pronounced that wrong a few times and I did see a few comments about it. I think it's Morakniv, but correct me if I'm wrong. Now Morakniv make a whole host of knives, all different styles. This is a classic one. I just thought get a standard knife. They've got a few short versions, curved, flexible blades. This is like a fixed solid blade. This is the Pro S knife, really good value. These were really cheap in Sweden. Really good quality knives that hold an edge. It's got a belt clip. Not quite sure what this little nib on the front is for, and I'd love to know. So if you know, let me know. What do you kind of mount on the front of that? Maybe it's so you can have like one knife off the back of another knife, off the back of another knife. Because you have so many different types, you could have a couple of different knives, like a flexible one for doing fish, gutting fish, and then a short one for whatever that's for, goodness knows. And then like an electrician's one. I knew they had an electrician's knife that's got a cable stripper in it. So I know they have a whole ruck of these, but this is a pretty nice one, pretty solid one, and it's also Swedish colours, so I felt like it was a good one to go for. So that is number 5. Let me show you number 4. Number 4 is another tool from OLFA, but this is a bit of a double act because I had to pick up the scraper, because the thing that really drew my eye wasn't the scraper, even though that is pretty interesting. It was these flexible blades, which I've not seen before. So actually, the scraper is pretty impressive in and of itself. So usually the scrapers have a screw that you have to undo, like a flat-headed screw, and they can get quite tight. This has already impressed me because it's got a much wider than normal locking mechanism that you can kind of undo with your thumbs, which is quite cool. And then you can kind of take the blade out and you've got a little trigger grip on the back. So you can kind of press that down, you can see it opens up. You can load the blade, lock it into position. That is a lot easier than any other scraper I've ever looked at. You can see the little push kind of paddle there. But the thing that really caught my eye were these flexible scrapers, because sometimes if you're scraping glass or ceramic, you know, this might be perfect because you can really put a lot of force into it. But sometimes you need a bit more flexibility. A scraper that's going to bend and not kind of scratch up your surface, which is what these are. These are much deeper scrapers, which are exactly that. They're flexible. So let's put one in, see the difference. I think actually I'm really pleased with the scraper. The fact I've got some refills for it now as well, in terms of some flexible long refills. For anything that I'd scrape with that, I'd probably use my Tough Built rotating scraper, which I've always been a big fan of, and it just uses standard utility blades, and that's quite fixed. But for something that I need to put a bit more force on and get right down to the flat surface, and obviously you've got that flexibility there as well. And the fact this scraper just undoes and kind of you can get the blades in and out so much easier. So with the traditional kind of short blades, it just wants to dig into the material. So even this cutting mat here, you can see as soon as you try and push it, it's kind of naturally trying to dig into the material. Whereas with the flexible blade, you can put the same amount of force, you can really push down on it, but it's bending, and then the end of the blade is going a much flatter to the surface. So you can kind of clean up softer materials with it. So I think that is going to be really, really good. It's kind of like a card scraper, but with a big old handle. So I think that is a pretty quirky little thing that I've not seen before from OLFA. So that was number 4. We're into the top 3. Let me show you number 3. Number 3 on the list is actually a British brand, Tracer. Funny that I picked this up in Sweden, but there you go. It did catch my eye and I wanted to have a look at it. This is the Tracer ProScribe Kit, a deep hole construction pencil with replacement leads and then the scribing holder. So if you don't know what scribing is, I can't really demonstrate it here, but let me put a little clip in of somebody scribing a piece of decking around a natural stone wall. In order to get those really accurate detailed cuts, you scribe stuff. And if you want to get a counter, kitchen counter in perfectly, you'll scribe it. So that means rather than just measuring, you're actually making a mark to specifically fit whatever the slot is. Now this ProScribe tool actually just makes that whole process easier, essentially. So how does it work? Well, basically you just run that along the wall, and then you can draw a line on your board and get a really accurate scribe. You can lock it in place, you can unlock this little mechanism here, and then you can actually use it for circles as well, which is pretty cool. It's got like a little bit of, you know, multifunction built in, which I quite like. So you can lock that on the center of a circle and then draw a circle, which is quite nice. And it's set up in a way that it's not just for doing like your traditional horizontal scribes, you can also do like height. So if you kind of set the height of something, you can lock this in place. Obviously, as this goes up and down on the kind of substrate you're working with, your scribe line will map out onto like a horizontal surface. So it's quite a multifunctional little tool, this, and I can't remember the exact price, but it was pretty good value. I'll put the price on screen. I felt like for a British made tool found in Sweden, gives you a little bit of a demonstration of how good the Swedish pricing is, because this is a kit. You don't just get ProScribe tool, you're also getting the long nib pencil, which is like a really good mechanical pencil. This has got a belt clip on it, and interestingly, a little feature I love, which most people don't know about, is it's got a tiny little pencil sharpener, right, built into the handle. So this stores the pencil, you can stow it in there, but also you can sharpen the tip on the tiny little pencil sharpener, which is pretty cool. And then lastly, in the pack, you also get this little thing. It looks like a pencil, but actually it just holds a whole host of spare leads. You've got one little hole in the top, so you can rotate it to one of the leads, spin it, get a new lead out, and then if you rotate it to that point there, they're all locked in, they can't go anywhere, and you can have that in your belt as well, so you've always got replacements. So a pretty cool little kit that, but the highlight has to be the mechanical pencil. I think that is pretty nifty, especially with the sharpener, and I did see them sold separately, so I did grab 5, which rounds out the giveaway nicely. So you won't just get the Hornbach Zollstock and the little Thumby, you'll also get a Tracer mechanical pencil with the little sharpener built in the handle. I got 5 of those, which finishes off our giveaway. Get commenting down below, make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos, and that way you'll be entered into the cool little giveaway. So that is number 3, let me show you number 2. Number 2 is a real little gem, I think, and it's from a brand that I've seen before, Edma. Edma make a load of cool stuff. One of my favourite tools that I've ever found was the hot ball, the swinging hot ball for melting down the back of polystyrene back plasterboard. And this thing caught my eye. Edma, made in France. What is it? Well, this thing is for putting on edge beading or skin beading when you're doing plastering. When you're doing any plasterboard work and you put those metal beads on, you put this up against the bead, hammer it, and it will use these little bits of metal here to fold the bead around the corner so you don't need screws and you have less lumps to try and plaster over. So pretty cool thing. I've only ever done a little bit of plastering, and I'm sure a professional plasterer wouldn't mind at all, but you are saving the screws as well, so you're saving the cost there, which is pretty good. So I think that is a pretty cool tool from Edma, which never failed to deliver. Edma have got some really cool stuff. So that is my number 2 pick. Let me show you number 1. So the number 1 pick is a pretty cool item, something I've not seen before, but a brand we're all very familiar with, and that is DeWalt. This is something, a 2-in-1 folding jab saw and rasp. Now I thought I saw everything from DeWalt. I've been to America a few times, seen a load of cool, interesting tools there that I've not seen before. But this one, I've only ever seen in Sweden, and I thought it was definitely worth picking up because the 2-in-1 functions of these do make sense to me. I feel like this is quite a good, useful multi-tool, because if you've ever used a jab saw for cutting out a kind of dry lining box in a plasterboard, you'll know that sometimes the box just doesn't fit. And usually you might go back with the jab saw and try and kind of like make the opening bigger. But with this tool here, you can just put the jab saw away, you just fold out the rasp, and then you can literally go back and almost like file down the sides of the hole to make it a bit bigger, which I think, as an electrician, that is a genius little tool that I will add to my toolkit. I think that is really, really cool. I'm always on the lookout for quirky, interesting new tools, and that, for me, definitely fills all those criteria, and that is why that is my number 1 pick. So that is all my tools from Hornbach. I've kind of put together a rough layout of all the tools. There's a couple of these big items won't quite fit in, but I've got the old Wolfrcraft bread knife there. I've got the DeWalt, that can actually fold in. That'll save me a bit of space. I've got the Morakniv knife. We've got the Zollstocks. All I've got to do now is cut it all into the insert. I'll also cut it into that cube DeWalt Pro Stack insert so we can do a comparison and a matchup at the end. So let me cut all of this in, and then at the end I'll give you a quick demo on how easy and quick it is to get your tools organised in shadow foam. So let's get cutting. There we go, that is everything cut into the T-stack insert. Got a quite nice layout going there, and I've got the finger pulls in too. And it's dead easy with shadow foam. All you have to do is place the items where you want them to go, cut around the shape, peel back the layers, and create the ultimate tool organizer. So you'll know immediately if anything's missing, you're gonna know where everything is protected, and we do inserts for every toolbox on the market. And it's not just modular toolbox inserts like the Pro Stack or T-Stack. It's also roll cabs. Any toolbox that you've got, we've got a shadow foam insert for it, and you can organize drawers, wall displays like you can see behind me, and get all your tools dialed in. You'll know when anything's missing, and you'll know when everything is protected, and you get this great finish, which is quite different to the finish you will achieve with something like this from DeWalt. Let's give it a go. I think it's about time we give this a bit of a try. So as you can see on the shadow foam insert, we've cut exactly around the pipe cutter. We've got that shape there. You can see when it's missing. It's held nice and snug, and we can kind of tailor the depth to the item. With the pick and pluck, let's have a look. So pretty much I'm gonna have to peel out all 3 of these cubes. It's gonna have to be up to there. Even peeling out the cubes is a little bit of a challenge. So it's up to there, and then that one and that one about there. Pretty much as close to the silhouette as I can get. Kind of needs a few more out as well, to be fair. So that's about as close as I can get it. Obviously I put the base layer in. That is what you're dealing with if you want to organize your PVC cutter in a T-Stack insert. Doesn't take much comparison, that really, does it? You've got, that's lost in the bottom of the insert. It's not stuck together, and it is pretty hopeless, to be fair, even with power tools. And it's 19 quid for that one. And it's 13 quid for a shadow foam one. Pretty much a no contest that. Let me know in the comments what you think. And if you've got your toolboxes organized with shadow foam, share some of your pictures over on Instagram, shadowfoam_foam. We love seeing your creations, and we reshare whatever you tag us in as well. So get over there, send me your pictures. I'm pretty happy with that. Some absolute belters from Sweden. I think another trip to Sweden is definitely on the cards. It was one of my favorites, and I'd love to go to Bacco and see some more of the Bacco tools as well, because that is the only brand missing out of this classic Swedish video. It was quite nice to go to a Swedish tool store and not be asked to leave within about 10 minutes, so that made a change. We'll put a link up there to my last trip to Sweden, so you can go and watch that one next if you've not seen it already. And as a final note, make sure you enter the giveaway by dropping a comment below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.